Beautiful Sophia was a woman who knew exactly what she wanted. She was strong, independent, and confident. She worked as an editor at a prestigious publishing house where she thrived. She loved books, words, and the stories people created. At 35, she had built a solid career in the literary world. Her colleagues admired her. Her boss valued her expertise, and aspiring writers sought her approval. But what no one knew was the secret life she led behind closed doors. Sophia had always been in tune with her body. From the moment she discovered pleasure as a teenager, she embraced it fully. At first, it was innocent curiosity. Something she explored in the quiet solitude of her bedroom, under the covers late at night. But as she grew older, it became more than that. It became a ritual, a comfort, a private escape from the pressures of the world. She had lovers, of course. Some were memorable, others forgettable, but none ever made her feel the way she made herself feel. There was something intoxicating about being in complete control of her own pleasure. No awkward encounters, no disappointments, no need to rely on someone else. Just her body, and the quiet ecstasy she could summon whenever she desired. Her friends often questioned why she wasn't in a serious relationship. "You're beautiful, successful, and intelligent," they would say. "Why are you still single?" Sophia would laugh it off. She had plenty of excuses. Her demanding career, her high standards, the lack of good men. But deep down, she knew the truth. She didn't need anyone. Every night, after a long day at work, she followed the same routine. A warm shower to soothe her tired muscles. A candle, lavender or vanilla, something soft and calming. Then, slipping into bed, her silk sheets cool against her bare skin. She loved the anticipation, the knowing that soon she would grant herself the kind of pleasure no one else had ever matched. Her hands knew every inch of her body, every sensitive spot, every deliberate movement that sent waves of pleasure coursing through her. She never rushed. She savored each moment, losing herself in the sensations. And when it was over, she would lie back, completely relaxed, a satisfied smile on her lips. No drama. No complications. Just bliss. But as the years passed, something began to shift. At first, she ignored it. It was just a passing thought, a fleeting feeling she quickly brushed aside. But then, after another night of indulgence, staring at the ceiling in the darkness, a question crept into her mind. Is this enough? For years, she had convinced herself that she didn't need anyone. That self-pleasure was enough. That she was happy, independent, fulfilled. But as she watched her friends settle down, get married, and start families, she began to wonder. They spoke of love, not just physical, but emotional. A deep connection. A bond that went beyond pleasure. Sophia had always thought she was above all that. She didn't need a man to complete her. She had herself. But lately, she felt the weight of silence in her apartment. The empty side of the bed. The quiet nights that once felt like freedom now felt like something else. It felt like emptiness. Then one evening, she met someone. His name was Daniel. And he was different. They met at a book launch event, and he was one of the few people who could keep up with her in a conversation about literature. He was kind, patient, and intelligent. He listened when she spoke, made her laugh effortlessly. And for the first time in years, Sophia felt something unfamiliar. After their conversation at the event, Daniel pursued her gently, without pressure. He took her on thoughtful dates, paid attention to the smallest details, and treated her with a warmth she hadn't realized she was missing. For a while, she let herself believe this could be different. That maybe, just maybe, she had been wrong all these years. That maybe intimacy with another person could be more than just physical pleasure. But when things started to become serious, Sophia hesitated. She was too used to her independence, too comfortable in her own world. The idea of letting someone in, the idea of depending on someone for happiness, felt terrifying. And so, she pulled away. She told Daniel she wasn't ready, that she needed space. Daniel was understanding, but she saw the disappointment in his eyes. And when he finally stopped calling, she told herself it was for the best. But that night, as she lay in bed, she didn't feel the usual satisfaction after her private ritual. She felt alone.
Please subscribe to Afro Gen Z for more interesting stories.
Years passed. Sophia continued living as she always had. She convinced herself she had made the right choice. She focused on her career, on books, on the quiet comfort of solitude. But as she reached her 40s, the loneliness grew heavier. She attended weddings alone. She celebrated holidays in silence. She watched her friends build lives with their partners, while she went home to an empty apartment. And one night, as she lay in bed, her beloved ritual no longer brought her comfort. She had spent her life choosing herself, and in doing so, she had pushed everyone else away. Her pleasure had been hers to control. But what about love? What about companionship? The warmth of waking up next to someone who truly cared. She had been so afraid of needing someone that she had ended up with no one. And now, it was too late. Sophia sat by her bedroom window, gazing at the city lights. She had everything she thought she wanted. Success, independence, the ability to please herself whenever she desired. But in the quiet of the night, she finally admitted the truth. She wasn't happy. She had built a life of pleasure, but not of love. She had embraced her body, but never truly opened her heart. Was it too late? Had she spent too many years choosing solitude to ever find real connection again? That evening, after too many nights spent alone, Sophia made a decision. She picked up her phone, her heart pounding as she scrolled through her old contacts. She hadn't spoken to Daniel in over 2 years. What if he had moved on? What if he didn't want to hear from her? Taking a deep breath, she typed a message. Hi, Daniel. I know it's been a long time, but I've been thinking about you. Would you like to meet for coffee? She stared at the message for a long moment before pressing send. Minutes passed. Then an hour. Then the whole night. No response. Disappointed, Sophia told herself she had waited too long. Some things weren't meant to be. But the next morning, her phone buzzed with Daniel's reply. I'd love to. How about this Saturday? Overwhelmed with joy, Sophia couldn't wait. And when she saw Daniel again, it was as if no time had passed. They talked for hours. She confessed her fears, her regrets, and her realizations. Asterisk, I was afraid of needing someone. That night, in Daniel's arms, Sophia felt something she had never known before: true intimacy. It wasn't just about passion or pleasure. It was about trust, surrender, and the quiet understanding that she no longer had to face life alone. As they lay together, their bodies entwined, Daniel traced his fingers along the curve of her spine. His touch was gentle, unhurried, as if savoring every moment. He pressed a soft kiss to her shoulder, then whispered, "I missed you, Sophia." She closed her eyes, letting his words sink in. How had she ever convinced herself that she didn't need this? That she didn't need him? Turning onto her side, she gazed into his warm, patient eyes. "I missed you too," she admitted. "More than I ever let myself realize." Daniel smiled, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "Then don't run this time." Sophia hesitated for only a moment before shaking her head. "I won't." He leaned in, capturing her lips in a kiss so slow and deep it made her tremble. This wasn't the desperate, fleeting passion of past lovers. This was different. Gentle yet intense, filled with unspoken promises. As their bodies moved in perfect harmony, Sophia realized that she had never truly known what it meant to make love. This wasn't just about pleasure. It was about connection. About two souls finding each other again after years of solitude. With every kiss, every whispered word, Daniel erased the loneliness she had clung to for so long. And when they finally lay spent in each other's arms, Sophia felt something she hadn't felt in years: peace. She rested her head against his chest, listening to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. "Stay with me tonight," he murmured, his fingers tracing lazy circles on her back. Sophia smiled. "Not just tonight. I want this. I want you." Daniel kissed the top of her head. "Then let's not waste any more time." From that night on, Sophia and Daniel were inseparable. Every evening, after long days at work, they found solace in each other's arms. Their nights were not just filled with passion, but also with laughter, conversation, and warmth. For the first time, Sophia understood what it meant to truly share herself with someone else. One evening, after yet another night of passion, Daniel held her close and whispered, "Marry me." Sophia's heart stopped. For years, she had feared commitment. But now, looking into his eyes, she felt something she had never felt before: certainty. With a soft smile, she whispered, "Yes." They married in an intimate ceremony surrounded by friends and family. As they danced under the stars that night, Sophia leaned in and whispered, "I'm glad I found you again." Daniel pulled her closer, his lips brushing against her ear. "You never lost me, Sophia. You just had to be ready." And as they kissed, Sophia knew she had finally found her true happiness. A lesson in love. Sophia once believed that independence meant never needing anyone. But love had taught her something else. Needing someone didn't make her weak. It made her stronger. She had spent years building a life of pleasure. But in Daniel's arms, She had discovered far greater love, connection, and the beauty of surrendering to the right person. For the first time in her life, she had not just chosen herself. She had chosen love. And it was the best choice she had ever made.